Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Board of Assessors, November the 2nd, 2022. First order of business is approval of previous minutes meeting. Meeting minutes.
Make a motion that we approve meeting minutes for last meeting. Sorry.
We have a motion and a second. I'm going to recuse myself from the vote because I wasn't here. Which is good, but all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passed. First on the list is personal property documentation. Number 52. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. On page 2, we had 5 car bills. 3 of them were reduced, and 2 were no changes. The number 5 was reduced by 52% because it's a 2008 Sprinter van that basically had no more than 130,000 miles. Transmission to be repaired. So, and it started at $12,550, and once we get our reductions, we go down to $6,075. Gentleman, however, paid $5,000 for the vehicle, but he didn't quite get down to his number. The other 2 reduced by 22%, the 4 pieces by 22%, and the motorcycle BMW K16 was reduced by 20%. Next on the digest changes would be page 3, and these are admin changes. These are businesses that closed in 2020. So you're going to have the change in 2021 and 2022. And these are the 21 changes on page 3. On page 4, you'll see the same 2 businesses, and we also added van and gas, and we also closed out. No, I'm sorry, I closed out. Mayor Electric filed a late free report, so we had to add that. And West Georgia Spade and Neuter Clinic was it's a nonprofit. It's the Carroll County Humane Society. So we exempted the real property a few months ago. So we started it to also reduce the exempt the personal property since they filed the application. And that's all I had.
You there any liability for 30 years for which they needed?
No. They just moved to Douglas County like 21.
Okay. Your van and cast is just 21, just administrative change into 20 to reduce it to 0.
No, both of them are 0, but they were closed in 2020. Both of them closed in 2020, and they were not taken off the digest 21. Mm-hmm. So we had to remove them from that as 21 and 22. Yes. I was entertaining a motion to approve the amount as noted.
Take motion, we approve the further items mentioned as noted.
The motion is seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Keep them clear.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, I am going to present the residential and the commercial properties today. We're going to start with the 2022 and 2021 admin changes on page 5, and it's page 5 through page 9. And I know you remember that we had the issue in the system where some of the residential properties were being valued at the income. That was based on we were trying to do them all at one time, and then some of the residential got swooped into that. So our chief went through the system and pulled all of the properties of the people who did not file an appeal, and we found quite a few. So we went through those and we reduced them. I'm surprised. So few of them have an appeal, like number 12 at the bottom of page 5. If you see that huge number there, And that's just a townhome. And it's a townhome right up here off the Doris Drive. The majority of the ones that we reduced from the income to cost. And we did, I have the notes on it. It says Reds corrected from income to cost. I think everybody like it here. Number 6, Dan Homer, he did call in about his value. But again, I'm surprised on number 12 that they didn't call in. Majority of them were the townhomes right over here off the Doris Drive. Steve and I think Eugene, you were with us too. We rode through there, put our eyes on the properties. We saw that some of them were vacant lots at the $10,000. If you look at page 6, numbers 14, 15, 16, 17, they were vacant townhome lots, so they're very narrow. They're only enough to fit a townhome on, and they're vacant. That income, that error with the income to cost really increased their value. Again, they did not file an appeal and they have not called, but since we corrected the others, we went through, we found errors and we went ahead and corrected all of them. Hopefully she had them correct. Yes, you wanted to make sure that we were going to be fair and want to that had that particular issue. All right. Back to page 5, we also have some approval of some more homesteads. Again, people are getting their documents in as they're getting ready to pay their tax bills. So number 9 is S5, which is veterans less than 62 years old. And number 11 is a basic homestead. Number 10 is an ownership correction. It was corrected, they did a corrected deed after the digest was closed. And it affected year 21 and year 22 on that ownership. No change in value. On page 6, there's already the first few there were the reds to income to value cost. 18 was also a misdeed. They called in about their ownership and not getting the bill to the right address, so we got that ownership corrected. For 2022, no change in value. Number 19 is a basic homestead where they put their documentation in. Page 7 is mostly homestead. Number 20 is a senior between 62 and 64 due to a mailing address error on that one. The next one, number 21, is an S5, which is veteran under 62. Number 22 is a senior reinstatement. Well, no, not reinstatement. It was a senior 62 to 64. 23 is a basic homestead. 24 is also a vet under 62. 25 is a senior 65 plus with low income. For their probate docs, I believe they started their probate docs before the beginning of the year. 26 is a reinstatement of the senior 65 plus for 2022. On page 8, the first one is the basic homestead, and then 28 is in order for Austin to clear the title for one, he had to go back and put in this in sale to clear a chain of title for something for 2023. So that's why this one was put in, it was missed.
That was 27?
Yes, no, the 28.
Yeah, sorry.
Mm-hmm. On page 9, that's the 2021 corrected deeds that we spoke of on the other pages. No change in values for those years either. On page 10 is the final homestead exemption that needed to be processed. They applied for the exemption and it was approved. We just needed a documentation, so that was approved, and that one was an appeal on page 10. So all of the homestead appeals have been processed.
It's pretty much everything. Any other left out the income to cost value adjustments that we can make?
Steve went through and found all that we could find. Some of them did go over at the right value. A few of them were about the same value, so we did make changes on those. We're going to cross our fingers and hope there are no more. He did search through and try to find all the ones that were relevant. I do have one more, but it's on the appeal. level. I haven't gotten to that one yet. That's, hopefully that's all there is. Any other questions on that?
And again, that was because of after the software.
When we had the WinGap software, when they were doing the commercial reval, he had the guy go in the system and change all of the income values on income. Some of the residential, for some reason, had an income on there, probably in prior years. We're not really sure. So those got converted over to the income value.
Okay.
So that when the system changed from WinGap over to IAS, that income value came with it also.
Okay, so it's already like that in WinGap, and when it got converted, it's moved over with it.
It was like that somewhere in the background in WinGap, even though we had the right value on there. But somehow when he did changing everything over to income, those got swept up in it. Did I say that right, Steve?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you put a fix on it now.
Yeah,
The
I did a search for all residential that is showing that income value, and they had 21. We checked and removed them from income value at the costs. So we should not have any other residential that was converted to income.
It's a very small number.
Yeah, residential should never be on income unless it's apartment units. And a few of these may have been looked at in the past as apartment complex across here.
I think so.
And they tried putting income on there, but putting it in income on, turning income to one in the background should not be converted either. But they did a bulk script for all properties that income was one, bring it as income, and that's where the problem lies. So residential should always be on cost. That's the way we do it right now.
Okay. On pages 11 through 13 are the residential appeal value changes. I don't have anything of significant note on these. I'll glance through to see if there's anything of a significant amount. We do have a few. Number 3 was increased after the appraiser went out and found some more characteristics like an enclosed porch and a patio, and that increased the value on that one, and some more updates on that one. Quite a few of them, if you see Senate Bill 346, they are set to their prior year purchase. So if we miss their prior year purchase price, and you know by Senate Bill 346 is the rule that says that you can't go higher than the prior year purchase price for the next year. And I think these were some tax reps that pointed these out, so we went back through, make sure that those were arm's length credible sales, and we set them back to their purchase price. A few of them we looked at the neighborhood sales and felt like they're legitimate. Sales in that particular neighborhood that we may have used the first time. So don't see anything significant on these 3 pages. You have a question on the next pages 11 through 13. All is I'm over the home. On pages 14 through 19, those are for informational purposes. These are all the no changes that we certify over to BOE, and we're gonna send them over there to schedule those for hearings. Okay. On page 20 is an admin change for commercial property. Joey is in class this week. Joey and Leanne are learning how to do board legalization appeals this week. These are the commercial admin changes, and this is one where the owner called and said, hey, I thought I had a 299C for my 2021 value, and he is correct. The 2021 299C value is $497,599. And he has to correct his value back for 2022, and he'll also get that value for 2023. Page 21 are the commercial appeal adjustments. And this is one of those that should not have been on income. So it is sort of considered a commercial property. It is a mobile home park. It is just the land in the mobile home park. And, it was put on income. He did call, the tax bill is due, and he's like, hey, can we go ahead and get this resolved? And we put him back to cost. So this, he appreciates.
Over 2021.
2021, the value was 390,000, I believe. You look at that number to see, even though we're reducing it, right, we are increasing the value, had increased on it.
And with this one, as much as the value may be in line, we can't just look at mobile home park by itself. We need to look at all the uniformly. So this mobile home park could be looked at using income, but we need to do it for all mobile home parks, and it would include the mobile homes in the park. So this could not be done for this year unless we look at all mobile home parks and then so we have to move this back because since we consider the mobile homes entity separate from. So we can't do that. It would not be uniform to this tax rate.
Thank you for that. And on the very last page, we had our first hearing officer hearing. Joey sat through that with our hearing officer, and four cases were heard, and here are the results. There was nothing significant in the results. The first one, parcel 675-1823, the hearing officer reduced it based on the floodplain. I believe part of the property is in a 100-year floodplain, so he reduced the value from $803,000 to $655,000 on that one. There was a no change in the next two parcels, and on the last parcel, which was the storage warehouse, 903-1822, he reduced it based on the price per square foot. It was only about a 7% reduction on that. On the hearing officer agreements below, nothing significant. I made sure I put the what type of commercial properties that they were. The homes for the elderly, these were mostly apartments. You do have a days in that was reduced at 22%, and that was reduced based on the daily average rate and rent speed. And these are agreements that we are making with the tax credits. And most of those were no changes because our values were pretty good on those. And the last one, number 9, is a 2021 appeal. We sent them a revised notice back in December of last year. They had until February to appeal, and they did appeal, and they ended up, by the time it went to BOE, and BOE said, that's what happened. So this one got kind of postponed until this year, and the value was reduced to $240, only a 9% decrease on this particular storage warehouse. And this is a reconfiguration of the land and the building on this one. And it is only reduced 9%, nothing significant. And that's all the commercial and residential. I just stated that I had. Is there a question?
Yeah, 2 questions. One on the same page, on page 22. The first one, that item number 1,
Okay.
was that purchased this year? And that was a 200-year floodplain issue, an evaluation. And they had that for a number of years. Just now brought it to our attention that it's a floodplain.
My understanding, and Steve can back me up on this, is that they just presented it. I don't think we realized that it was, and they presented it at the hearing, at the time of the hearing about the floodplain.
Right, so it's not a sale, it's an existing property, but there was no notes in our system, so our partial appraiser had no idea it was in the floodplain until they brought it to the hearing officer's attention. And when he verified that it surely was in the 100-year floodplain, part of the property was. And normally we do make adjustments for properties that is simple. We take a portion of it that's in the floodplain and factor that into the land value. So the hearing officer did that, and on the spot, and gave that, I think it was 10%.
So the existing property, but they just determined, hey, we're in a floodplain, we got it.
This is how the tax record work. They go out to find something that's they do their research. They do a more in-depth research than the owners, and that's how they get a portion of the savings.
And do we have any mechanism to keep an eye on and make sure they don't try to build in like floodplain? Because I mean, it's obviously commercial property.
They have to get permits and approval from
So-
the planning.
So something will get flagged along the line.
Yes.
They try to-
Yeah.
Well, listen, floodplain ain't worth anything. Hey, we're gonna put a warehouse on it.
Well, they probably can do it in a portion that's not in the flood.
Right, absolutely.
And we do have maps that can verify floodplain, so we can see floodplains. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. We could-
But what I know that was not being done here, so would be appealed, and it's like for this now, it's in the floodplain. We know we'll go back and look at everything around it and make adjustments for all the parcels that it touches. But that wasn't done in the past.
Okay.
So we need to be uniform throughout.
Exactly.
Second question I had was back on page 13. There was a 10% adjustment for functional obsolescence. And I'm assuming that's, you gotta go through a bathroom to get to the kitchen, something like that. Is that something that, the owner brought to our attention?
No, the appraisers, as they are looking at each appeal, if they need to go, we have not been to their property in the past 2 years, they're gonna go out there and take a look at it, or if it was something that may have been noted in the appeal form. And I don't know on this particular one what that 10% functional obsolescence is, and I've seen that. But if they do find it as they're going through reviewing the appeal, they will put that on there. But I'm not sure what it is on that.
Okay, yeah, I think that's typically inside, so they probably
They
actually.
could have known that on the appeal.
Yeah, we do get pictures and et cetera, taxpayers on their appeal, they submit pictures and we have those attachments along with their appeal. So if we consider it valid, if we put eyes on it, or we accept it.
And they submit appraisal reports, we have some that submit notebooks and stuff. So we have some very detailed taxpayers out there.
So on the whole, we do mass appraisal. So we don't go in depth into each one. If we are mass appraisals, we look at subdivisions as a whole. Now is when we get a more closer look at homes when they appeal. So we'll differentiate each home. The finished basement, 100%, 25%. We may just look and say, we see an additional compressor unit. We said that it has a finished basement, but it may be only 50%, 67. So this is when the taxpayers appeal. We go into detail, and this is where they are like peer breakers, and we can differentiate each property. So that's when we note these differences. So that's why the appeal process is a good process. Taxpayers need it to verify what they do have here. This is how we know that some persons have finished basement. The taxpayers tell us, yeah, my neighbor, Marty, has a finished basement, and he has a already basement. I don't have one.
Yeah.
So this is when we go out and on discoveries and find out that, so this is when we become fair appraisers. But on the whole, we're looking at the floor plan and everything, and we're putting a bulk value on the book.
Would entertain a motion to approve the digest wages and no changes as nothing.
And to make a motion that we approve the changes as presented by staff for the digest changes.
We have a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. On the
There's nothing from there.
So next is unfinished business.
No unfinished business. Next is And we just received, well, not just, we received last week the utilities, public utilities digest. Public utilities is a phrase by the Department of Revenue. They send us the numbers and we send it out to the public utilities. So we just received the digest and it requires the chairman's signature. So this is basically the only thing new we have. I want to update us on the so if you want to just
Did the utility companies have any feedback, or did they just say, okay?
they're gonna get feedback now, so they have 45 days to appeal to the notices. They have 45 days, and we will look at the appeals. 9 out of 10 times, we have not had a lot of appeals since we said that. Last year there were 0 appeals on utilities. They normally accept the Department of Revenue numbers, but in the past, I've looked at historical data, they have appealed. In terms of appeals, we are processing these appeals, and you can see from these changes that we're sending over. So we have processed to date 67% of the total appeals and have been assigned to the hearing officers or BOEs. So it's work in progress. The office is working. We're still short staffed. We're still short tools. Update on the computers, we were allocated for 17 desktops and 3 laptops. We got 5 of the CPUs. The expectation was dual monitors for each CPU. That's yet to happen, but with our vice chair contacts, we're seeing some movement, so we got 5 last week, and we're anticipating a further 5 soon. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. It was ordered from January, and it's now November. So it's also an impedance for us to produce efficiently, and it's holding us back. This new software that we have has multiple windows, and we need the multiple screens so we can work efficiently. So thanks to Vice Chair's action, we saw some action. We got 5 of the 17, but we're still being impeded. And so we're gonna ask the board again to look at the staffing issues, because it's getting serious, and we don't want it to get to the point where we don't have certified staff. So salary is, I'm going to emphasize again, is important, because we're competing with the rest of Metro. And why I come here is okay. So that's basically what we have, and we just point of note that the utility digest could have been better if we had revalued 38%. So if you see there on the utilities, it's 37.6.06. Normally that would be 40% for all utilities. So if we get our sales ratio at 38 or above, we can collect on the utilities at 40%.
That would be a selling point to the commissioner when you're pushing for better pay and better qualified staff. You say, look, this is a financial decision. If we can get our sales ratio to 38%, do more workers and more help.
We are stretching.
We can get that, we can get a better return on our business. Utility staff. That'd be a good way to present it.
And
I'm sure you
we
will.
do, and I know you have weighed in on it, so they understand. I know they understand.
We can keep gently
Reminder.
It's all about dialogue and a continuing dialogue, it's people making decisions based on good information.
So that's pretty much all from me. We welcome you back, Mr. Foran, and we have a lot of for you to start today on utility digest.
I was practicing up in the hospital one time.
That's pretty good. So unless Harriet has anything to present,
I guess our board of business is to set date next meeting. I believe so, being November the 16th, November the 16th. Okay, I'm on. Sure. I'm good with that. I know.
Good.
Do something.
I'm fine. So,
Yes, you can remember it. Well, it's the 16th, November the 16th is in there. Unless there's anything further, we entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Motion is second. All in favor, say aye. Motion passed. Meeting is adjourned.
Salon.
Yes.
Adjourn.
All right. Thank you.